podcast. I'm Zoe.
My name is Michael.
And today we are continuing the Sacred Sexuality series, and we're going to be talking about semen retention.
Yeah, which is primary practice for men, which can also be done by women by cultivating their sexual energy, but there's just no semen involved.
No, it's just for men.
Just for men.
Semen retention is just for men.
What I meant is that there's another way, like women cultivate it differently without the semen.
Yes, you can also yes, totally. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
As with every podcast, we're going to start off by dropping in with a sacred beverage. So today we've got some cacao, I've got some watermelon juice, and we're just going to take a second to tap in. So feel free to close your eyes and join us.
Yeah. Just close your eyes, just have your sacred beverage with you. And today we're going to just go over 3 ah, ooh, and ums, which our focus begins at the root. So ah, ooh at the chest, and at the third eye and crown. So just fully exhale here. Inhale. Breathing in. One last time, breathe in. Just tuning in here to ground into your body as we dive into this deep conversation about sacred sexuality. And really just bring your body to a state of receptivity, openness, and love. Connecting with open ears, open hearts, and an open mind. And just taking your first sip of your sacred beverage. Take 2 more sips here. Just even holding it under your tongue and really feeling the medicine of this beverage. Now we will drop in to this beautiful topic of semen retention. Seems like I'm stuttering right now, so don't mind me.
He's tried to say semen retention like 5 times. He's like, semen retention.
Yeah, it gets really weird talking to a camera sometimes without anyways. So semen retention.
Yeah.
So basically we have a few questions that we'll go into. What is semen retention, to start off? Semen retention is basically when you withhold your semen and you learn how to control it and circulate it. So you become a master of that aspect of life without that aspect of life controlling you anymore. What's your perspective on semen retention?
Yeah, I think exactly that. And it's not withholding your load, I guess I'll say, forever. Like there is a time and a place to release, But doing that in tune with, people say the full moon, doing that in tune with your body. There's a lot of people, there's like boxers that say that you never blow a load before a big fight or before a meeting, or, you know, it's like really being, it's kind of like being in tune with your male cycles of like life, and like really learning how to cultivate your sexual energy and how to build and plateau and how to become a multi-orgasmic man. Because if you're constantly blowing your load, then you can't get to those levels of multi-orgasmic, energetic orgasms, anal orgasms, and just experience pleasure in all the ways, because you're constantly shooting all of your life force out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, I love it. I just can tell that you love this topic. Sacred sexuality is serious so much. It's great. Yeah, that's a basic premise of what it is. And then we have another question. What do men do, and why is it important? And the importance of this for men is, like, from my experience, like really up there, especially if you're following spiritual practices. Because like right away, say I basically blow my load and I start connecting to breath work, I barely have any connection to my belly breath anymore. Like right after that, I notice that I don't have much connection to my perineum or my belly, which is basically the grounded nature of conscious connected breathing. So that in turn affects me a lot, because then I'm like lose my energy, my self-esteem goes down. I feel like less worthy of life. I don't feel that connected to myself anymore. And the importance of it is the energy that you get from it, the ability to learn how to circulate it and use it as a tool for your spiritual development. And in the 8 limbs of yoga, there's one of the I think it was Niyama's things to practice is brahmacharya, which means to learn how to use your sexual energy in a beneficial way rather than it control you, and use it for your spiritual evolution.
Yeah, totally. And I think right now it's really trendy, and it's like everywhere, and there's all these men that's like semen retention, or like no fat November or whatever. And it's almost like this like weird spiritual fad, but I think it's actually an ancient piece of knowledge for men's health coming back. So it's almost just as important as like eating healthy or filling your body with nutrients or drinking water. I see it as that, like the missing piece. And I think we'll get into it later, but I think it's been conditioned into men's minds to constantly be ejaculating or letting their sexual energy leak and leave them in order to keep men out of their fullness, as well as women. But today it's just, we're talking about semen retention, but I think the sexual part of it is like the sexual life force energy that's invigorating your body, and then also you staying continuously connected to your pleasure, because when you ejaculate, you say that like all the pleasure and the desire is just gone.
Yeah.
It's just flat.
Yeah, it's flat. You become like a flat noodle.
Yeah.
You become a flaccid being. Just like a flaccid cock. You're a flaccid being now.
Yeah.
So like, and as a man, it's like, for me specifically, like, it's not enjoyable to be flaccid.
Yeah.
It's like, the only enjoyable aspect of myself that enjoys that is my victimhood. And like, just enjoying, just chilling out, smoking some weed, doing this, doing that, just like, yeah, it's all good, man, you know. That type of energy, it's very flat energy, and with that flat energy, I can't really accomplish much in my life. I can't really do much in my life. I have no energy to do anything in my life.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in accomplishing things in your life, and creating an amazing, abundant life, then that's what anyone, in my perspective, will need to do that, you know? So
Totally. And you've said in the past, like, so let's just like move into what has been your experience with it as a man, because I can only like share what I've heard and the research that I've done. I don't have firsthand experience. I do have secondhand experience though of being in union with you and seeing how it's helped you, how it's like how radiant you are and activated and on purpose and focused. And I just want to share a little story, if that's okay. So
depends how detailed, but what are you getting into? You didn't even tell me what it was. Like, what are you getting into?
The coconut night. The slamming open the coconuts.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go for it.
So
that was a fun one.
So basically, we've been practicing this. And one night we were in sexual union, and then afterwards, like he didn't ejaculate. We both circulated the sexual energy, and then right after, he like goes into the kitchen, starts like getting the machete and like slamming open coconuts, and it's like 8 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
And Michael's like on the deck, naked with a machete and a coconut, trying to smash it open to get the coconut meat on the inside.
Yeah.
And our landlord comes out and she's like, senor.
And then I'm naked and I just run because I'm like naked. And like and then she's like, where did he go? And Zoe's like, they're like, oh.
I'm like, and she speaks Spanish, so I couldn't tell what she was saying, but I was like, see, like we'll be quiet. But it's like, the moral of the story is, after we were in sexual union, he had so much energy to like go and play and chop open coconuts and be radiant, and at like 8 to 9 p.m. at night after being in a sexual union, whereas most people think sex is draining, sex is going to take away your energy.
Yeah. And I've experienced sex like that so much, and it made me want to be celibate most of the time, because I had no control over that aspect of my being. And honestly, this path takes a level of fierceness that like you need to dive into, and you need to honestly, in a way, have guidance towards properly, or do extremely thorough research. But really, guidance is the key, because like it's very challenging. And I've got guidance in my life, and I'm part of a program that I've learned these things from, and the intention isn't primarily semen retention, like it's cultivation of your sexual energy. And that's the importance, because if I don't know how to properly circulate the energy through my spine and like move through that experience, then I won't actually be able to properly use that dormant energy, because most likely the energy is going to be stuck in my genitals, or if I don't have sex at all, it's going to be dormant. Just as like you see a snake spiraled, this is the Kundalini awakening that spirals up the spine and is used for your spiritual or even physical just development in this realm, like energetic, etc. But yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about.
No, that was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Basically, you were explaining, like, it's almost like we're moving into the next question without even like prompting it, but it's like people will do semen retention without cultivating their sexual energy, which is like, that's where you get your life force energy. Is pleasure, is that sexual energy. So basically what you're saying is, like, if you're doing semen retention and you're celibate, or you're not activating that energy, then it's just sitting there. Or if you're doing semen retention and being sexually active but not circulating the energy, then all of your energy is going to be in your genitals, and you're going to get blue balls. You're not going to know how to breathe through it. It's not going to be a good time. You're not harnessing anything. And also, if it's all down there, you're going to have more and more and more of an urge to ejaculate and get rid of it, because it's so uncomfortable. What you're meant to do is harness it.
Harness it, yeah.
Yeah.
Through many spiritual practices, like even my yoga practice, that helps harness it, but it's the breath that will move it.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start to like connect to your breath in a different way, specifically breathing deep into your perineum and your root,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll be able to circulate it. And that's usually like a huge sign that there's this inability to even receive your life force, receive blessings in your life, receive abundance, because your inability to actually breathe in through the belly, release, and then breathe in again and create that circular rhythm with the breath, then that will help you connect to your own life in a different way as well. It will be like, I'm worthy of receiving my own abundance, my own life force, my own energy, and anything internally will externally like manifest. So yeah, and which we're getting into is what is the shadow of semen retention, and I specifically pointed out porn, extremes, and a trauma response. So the extremes, if you see extremes in your own patterning, which I have myself throughout my entire life because I've been a very extreme human being.
Very intense.
Which is a beautiful experience in its own way, and it can teach you a lot. But usually extremes is a sign of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And what is most likely people's first experience with their sexuality and trauma is porn.
Mm-hmm.
Porn is extremely traumatic, especially as a child. My first time, I think I was like 11 or something, I watched porn. That was an extremely traumatizing point. I just remember my innocence and like feeling into that child of myself at this moment and like seeing how that impacted me. And like I remember that experience being traumatizing. Like the feelings were like disgusting and like but arousing, and like
Dopamine.
My experience of that is trauma. If something feels extremely off but it feels pleasurable, that's a sign of a very traumatic experience with sexuality. Yeah.
Totally. And the reason we bring up porn is basically I feel the porn industry has kind of put out this conditioning of men needing to have a shit ton of sex and men needing to ejaculate all the time. And also porn is sort of using this pull and this dopamine and this addiction to specifically, I'll use a phrase that I've seen on Instagram many times from the OnlyFans chicks, milk men dry. Like, that's the point, I think, is like to really pull out men's sexual energy. And porn has really shown this like constant like ejaculation, you know, cum shots. There's literally porn of like just cum shots and like ejaculation and loads or whatever. And it's like this constant cycle of like ejaculate, build it back up, watch porn, ejaculate. And so it's like this constant...
Or just continuously be in an empty array of just ejaculation, like ejaculating like literally more than once a day.
Yeah.
Like when I was a child, I've experienced like 5 times a day ejaculating.
Wow.
And you just feel like this empty vessel, like that just like has no connection with themselves, and just so much sadness, depression, and you don't even know where it's coming from.
Totally.
But it's literally because we were told that porn was okay. Masturbation was okay, which it is in its own way if you cultivate the sexual energy and don't just spew it everywhere all the time. And yeah, we haven't been taught properly about our sexual experiences. I remember sexual education. It was like the most ridiculous thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And
they
they do not teach you how to cultivate your sexual energy. They just say masturbation's okay. If you watch porn, just know it's not real sex.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're a kid. How could you know it's not real sex?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and that's where a lot, for me specifically, and also a lot of people in my field, went to porn for sexual education. Like men went to porn to learn how to eat a woman out. Women went to porn to know how to give blowjobs. I went to porn to understand anal sex better. I did all these things because I thought that's where it all is. Because it's on the screen and they're doing the act. But like you never actually get told that like when you watch porn, it's traumatizing. Your sexual energy and your aura is being sucked. Your life force energy is being sucked out of you. And just the energy field around porn is so dark.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's like conscious porn and all that, but as a sacred sexuality coach, I say do not ever go outside of yourself to seek your pleasure. If you're watching anyone else to be turned on, then you're completely cut off from your essence.
Mm-hmm. And any way of seeking external pleasure without seeking it inside of ourselves is going to create an addictive pattern with our external world. And that is, I remember Gabor Mate said that addiction is a trauma response. It's all related to trauma, and it's like it's looping in reality. And once we get out of the looping of reality, we get out of that cyclical nature, and we're learning to live in cycles and not allow cycles to control us and live in wholeness. So yeah. And porn, I want to specifically talk about, was entities. Things outside of yourself, like dark spirits, will take and consume your energy. So it's another aspect, because when you go off porn for a long time and then you come back to it, there's this experience where it's like there's this energy to porn that's just dark. Like when you'll feel it, and that's the importance is if you've been retaining your semen, be very aware of this. Like, no, don't shame yourself. Just be aware of how dark porn actually is. Be aware of what you are opening yourself up to, because you're opening yourself up to not just that screen there. You're opening yourself up to a spiritual realm, because this sexual energy is deeply connected to that. It's connected to every dimension around you. And there are beings out there, and bless those beings and pray for those beings, because they're lost. They're lost beings that just are consuming them. They've consumed themselves through porn, through addictive behaviors, got themselves trapped in these realms, and now they're taking it from others because they're lost spirits. And so yeah, I think that's one aspect of the dark side, which isn't as spoken to as much. It's starting to, but yeah. Yeah,
totally. And so if you're experiencing a porn addiction, and when I was detoxing from porn or getting off of porn, I think we mentioned this in our other podcast too, I would periodically go back to it because, like, don't shame yourself. That might happen while you're trying to get off porn, especially if you're going cold turkey. But just what I started to do was notice how I felt after I was done, or after I finished watching it, or even immediately when I went on. Because immediately you're met with all of these images and all of these messages, and it's so overwhelming. And every time I went on, I would get this really intense anxiety and trauma response, and almost weird, kind of what you said in the beginning, dopamine hit / something's really off.
Yeah.
And it was just, I couldn't do it anymore. And anytime I would leave that site or wherever we go, I would feel empty. I would feel so sad. I would feel so ashamed. I would feel so tired. I'd have to take a nap, even if I didn't finish. I would just feel sucked dry of everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that relates, I think, not just to that, but also to Instagram, to Facebook. If you're suffering from porn addiction, moderate your use of Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms that also connect to you viewing images of women or men or anything that's around that. Limit that access, and also learn specifically to connect your sexual organs in a different way. Don't suppress it. Don't push it aside. Learn to connect your body, massage your body, massage connect to this space of pleasure in a different way for yourself, because that will heal the experience. Just doing semen retention won't. It's going to literally just keep you basically pushing that aspect of life away. And the more you push that aspect of life away, the more it flies towards you too. So when you start to really integrate that sexuality within yourself, you'll start to really connect to that pleasure. And as a man specifically, most men are very cut off from their pleasure. Very. Because of ejaculating so much. So their cock isn't filled with energy. Like they can't just get an erection immediately if they choose to. And yeah, like pleasure, like really like connecting to pleasure in a much different way is very healthy. And a lot of spiritual practices have been taken in a way where pleasure is a bad thing, or like pleasure shouldn't be connected to. Pleasure should just be pushed away. Don't connect to that. And I say embrace it. I say fully embrace it, massage your body, give your body the nourishment it needs through your own energy.
Stimulate your prostate.
Yes. Stimulate your prostate gland. And honestly, anal, like for men, is their G center. So learning how to decondition that area and connect to it in a healthy way can also give a much different pleasure to your experience as well. And that's probably a bit much for most men, but because there's a lot of homophobia around that area.
There is, yeah. There's a lot of conditioning that's set, especially in movies and TV shows, or just in modern life, of like any man that's like really into anal sex or really into anal play or likes his butt touched is gay or whatever. And it's like this fear that like if you're into that, then you're gay. In my perspective, okay, maybe this isn't true. People are definitely full on straight, but in my perspective, everyone's a little bi, everyone's a little gay, but there's definitely full straight people. But also deconditioning that it's not gay, it's actually part of your full pleasure. And also there's nothing wrong with being gay. There's nothing wrong with that. So like the fear around that is just so silly. And I think it's been conditioned over years and years and years, and the whole prison like soap in the shower thing, and like all the comments about that. Definitely.
Even as a gay man, like people that are gay, I have slightly that tendency to desire that. Obviously I'm in the union, so it's just not happening. And
what he's saying is he's bi.
Yeah. Okay. I've connected to that realm. I have slight attraction to certain men, very particular, but I'm very particular with whoever I connect to. But basically, to be gay and to start to connect to your pleasure, like say, I've known some gay men who they'd watch gay porn. I was never attracted to gay porn. I was always like primarily into like woman-man sort of thing. But for them is also to connect to your pleasure differently. Like, because then there's conditioning around gay porn and conditioning around this and this.
It's just conditioning all around.
And it varies in all different shapes and sizes, because porn is a huge category of different... Anything. You can find...
We're almost like promoting it. Yeah, we gotta stop. We just gotta stop with
stuff. But with the category of pornography, there is different categories for how you relate to your own external world. So with porn specifically, like if you are attracted to domination over women, there's this need to try and control your reality in your home like life. So like, for example, I was attracted to more dominating realities. So my home life was a bit like I needed to find control because it was so conflicting, so crazy, so unregulated.
Extremes.
Very extreme. So if you look at what you're watching as well, you can find, in a way, the subconscious programming that is literally driving you to even watch porn.
Yeah.
Why you're watching it, maybe because you're wanting control in your life, which is complete opposite, but
Yeah.
like that as a child growing up, you're traumatized. You're looking for help in some way, and that's one way that you're possibly like regulating your nervous system in a way to like get rid of that energy, because it was too much to hold in. It was too much to deal with. There's a lot of fear around it. So yeah.
Totally. And one thing I'd like to share about semen retention, which is really cool, is like something that you've said. Whereas when you start hopping into semen retention, there's less of an attraction to other women, or there's less of a desire to be with multiple women or to watch porn. But for you specifically, you've said like when you do watch porn or go down that route, it's more of the hypersexuality, looking at other women, whatever.
Yeah.
But when and it obviously attraction is natural, but it's more so when you're doing the semen retention, all of it is for you. Mm-hmm. It's not outside of yourself. It's like it's all your energy, and you are having fun with it.
Mm-hmm. The difference from me having attraction is body based. So if I'm attracted to someone, and it doesn't even mean that like I'm like physically like I want to have sex with them. When I'm attracted to someone, I'm like energetically drawn to them. And a lot of people misconstrued this as like sexuality or like wanting to have sex with someone, but literally it can just be an attraction towards someone and their energy field. So really, if you look at it that way, a lot of the other aspect is literally just programming. It's programming. Your whole most likely one's whole sexuality is based around porn. It's completely based around it, and the neurological pathways, once you say you watch porn, triggers it right away.
Yeah.
And then now your whole external world is going to be like, oh, that woman's ass, her boobs, but you're going to look at all the women, because in porn there's all these different categories. You can look at all different women naked all at once.
All different sizes, all different whatever.
So now your mind is going to be focused on all women. And it's going to be focused on how can I have sex with all the women? How can I that's why I see a shadow, which people may not like hearing this, but in polyamory, there's a shadow in my perspective that it's conditioned around porn, like being in sacred union with someone and having to cultivate that sexual energy and find wholeness within one's own spiritual realms is so satisfying. I have no desire to be with another woman. Like it doesn't come into my mind, because I'm so energetically satisfied, pleased, like my pleasure is fully online. And my neurological pathways have changed, so I don't look at women the same way. And with that, I see wholeness. Anything that's like very external, trying to find it in this person, that drug, this drug. And I was in that culture for a lot, where you do LSD, you do MDMA, you do ketamine, you do like all the different drugs.
Weed, smoke a lot of weed, have a lot of sex.
And it's like, that's not really that deeply satisfying. And it's all seeking externally. And it's all in a way a trauma response.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also had that experience of like being in that union where there was no semen retention, there was no sexual cultivation, there was a lot of smoking weed, there was a lot of drugs, there was a lot of sex, and it was just, there was no harnessing, there's no fulfillment. And then also, kind of to add on to the polyamory thing, like, also, we don't teach polyamory, we speak our view on it, and I know some people make it work, however, it does not jive with us.
And of course, if it
jives with you,
though,
then it's for you.
For you.
It's just for us, divine union calls to us. I think because we're both earth signs and we're grounded.
Yeah, and I have zero energy to have multiple relationships. That is insane for me to
it's a
even
lot of
comprehend.
energy.
That's like, I can only handle my emotions most of the time, and then I have to like,
do multiple
connect
partners.
with Zoe's emotions. And, oh my god, I think I'd have a major like brain aneurysm if I did that. So
totally. I think also the trendy part about polyamory is it does fit for some people, but I think the trendy part of it is also like you're not actually getting super deep with someone. Because if you don't have that container and that total devotion of like, okay, I'm like in union with you, and like I feel safe to fully share my heart, to fully share my yoni, to fully share my emotions and my spirituality with you, then you're gonna go so deep and you're gonna feel so satisfied. And also the challenges and the things that you overcome in divine union is so beautiful. Whereas polyamory, it's kind of like you're almost like bypassing this like emotional deepness, and there's a lot of mental and like communication and like jealousy and like navigating through jealousy and like multiple attractions and that. But I think you're really bypassing the emotional part of like I can actually feel safe to go fully sinking in with this person. So I think polyamory has a lot of shadows.
totally support experiencing that.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be like a shaming conversation. We're just sharing our perspective on it.
Experience, yeah.
And I kind of entered that realm a little bit, and then I was like, my energy just couldn't handle it, and I was like, I can't do this. Like it was a huge no for me to go into those realms. But
I also think there's stages in life where I was also in an open relationship, but for me, with that person, I knew he wasn't going to be my baby daddy. Like, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I feel like when you're in a polyamorous relationship, it's probably because you know that person isn't the one. So then you're like, okay, this person isn't the one, let's be in an open relationship. It doesn't hurt me that deeply when this person is connecting with others sexually or intimately. But like, now that I've found like my person, I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah.
Like, it's like full heart, full devotion in, or I can't do it. Like, I need that full earth grounded devotion, or I can't do it. And if it's not the one, then I'm like, sure, open relationship, let's explore. That's my take on it.
Yeah. And I think also having children is a different realm.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to have children, it's like a huge commitment.
Yeah.
And it possibly might not be that healthy to have multiple partners, possibly quite confusing for children.
Yeah.
Maybe not as healthy, but I don't know either, so.
Yeah, we are not very versed in the polyamory realm, so that's why we don't teach it or share about it.
Yeah. Anyways, kind of off topic, went into polyamory there. Our next question is, how has it improved our union with self, other, and our partner? So basically, my experience of cultivating within myself is just a deep sense of gratitude and a very strong sense of power within me that can be used to create the most abundant life I could ever perceive to experience, which I'm doing right now because it's gonna be so glorious.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I just feel very erect, very powerful, very happy, content, grounded, very connected to my pleasure and sensitivity. So I feel like much more sensitive, and I think that's why people kind of go away from it, because there's this sensitivity that comes with things. Start to feel things deeper, start to experience pleasure within the body more frequently. And the connection to my cock is different. So I feel like basically as a man, there's this connection to a woman that if you can like basically circulate your own sexual energy, have control over that, and then also please you're a beautiful woman, like, there's nothing more freaking powerful than that. That's like one of the most pleasing things is to find that regulation within that intensity of like pleasure and be like, whoa, this is a powerful experience, and then using it for my entire life.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Yeah, it's improved my connection with others too. So when I connect to others, I have a radiance about me. I have people are more attracted to me, my energy, my field. I become magnetic. I radiate love. I am way more of service. I'm more regulated in my nervous system. And basically, I like one of my teachers, Tyson Adams. He says basically like, the way you treat your cock is the way you treat others. So the way if I abuse my cock, if I don't treat it with respect, if I just blow my load all the time, I'm going to treat everything else like around me like that. I'm going to use people to get their energy because I don't have it anymore. I'm going to find ways of manipulation so I can get what I want. And this is a theme with my experience in the past where I would, since I was low on energy, I'd try to get it from women. I'd be like codependent with them. I'd always want them to cuddle me and always want them to do this, or just super codependent. And I was codependent with my cock. Like I had this unhealthy relationship to it. So, and then also with partner. My partner, it's changed my life exponentially. Like just more satisfying, very grateful for the connection. There's this, see it in her eyes right now, she just loves hearing it. Just like a deep love. And then this pleasure emanates through our life. It's not just like, okay, we enter the bedroom, we connect sexually, have a sacred sexuality ceremony, but it brings us through our life. And when we see each other, there's this love, there's this connection, there's this intimacy that in the past I haven't experienced as much with other women. And like there's this beauty about that, because now it's like this like pleasure-filled home. Yeah. Which is not shamed. Like pleasure isn't shamed, it's just embraced, and there's this overflow of love.
Yeah. And to add on to that, my experience from how it's improved our union, and like what I see is like when there is ejaculation, it's like immediate, don't touch me. Like don't touch me for like 3 days, like obviously like we'll cuddle and stuff, and there's still love and there's still intimacy, but it's not, the pleasure's not there. But then when he does semen retention, it's like every day I get like a smack on the ass. Sorry if there's parents watching this. I really hope parents aren't watching this. Or like
kids, I don't know.
Anyway, no, we'll say not for kids.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, I get like a smack on the ass, or he'll come up and like make out with me, or there's just more like intimacy and pleasure. And then me as a woman being able to consistently ride the waves of pleasure and keep that boiling point going for myself, and also having you kind of add to that, is so freaking amazing. And women are like insatiable. We're meant to like constantly be like in this like pleasure orgasmic bubble. Obviously there's waves to life and there's waves to pleasure, but when a man can actually meet that and be like, okay, I'm also on the pleasure wave, I'm also having my pleasure guide me through life and cultivating it, that strengthens your union so much. And it's also saying to your partner, if you're a man, it's saying to your wife or your girlfriend or your partner, I'm willing to go the distance, I'm willing to make our sex and our union a priority, you know? And I think it's really important. It's not the end-all be-all, but it's an important aspect. Yeah.
I think a very important one.
Yeah.
Makes a relationship like very, very fulfilling.
Totally. And then also another thing to add before we move on, potentially close, because I don't know how long this has been so far. But I think also, like, when I see him in semen retention, it's like this penetration, because, you know, the energy of the lingam and the cock, and honestly just the masculine, is to penetrate and build, and this presence, and it's like he has that, not in a sexual way, but like he's like, okay, I'm focused, zoomed in on my purpose right now. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go crack open these coconuts and get this meat. I'm gonna go, you know, like
I'm gonna get this.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
go
this.
for this.
I'm gonna go out to karate and then like talk to people after on the streets and talk about my breathwork business, or like we go to ecstatic dance and he's like talking people up or sharing about, you know, it's just this energy of like this radiance of I know exactly where I'm headed and I'm ready to penetrate life. Yeah. Whereas women are more, I'm ready to receive and surrender to life.
Yeah, and be open for like relationships, babies, and
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know. Not at this point, but yeah. I think, no, I just meant like women are very relationship orientated. Men are more purpose orientated. Like primarily.
Women are definitely the nurturing type, I would say. But as a Capricorn,
like you see Loki following us, you're like, oh, Loki, come! I like kick it in the body and just like get out of here because I don't want you following me. That's the masculine feminine. I don't kick the dog.
Our landlord's
I just like get
dog,
out of the way. But
our landlord's dog follows us everywhere, and I frickin' love it to a degree. And Michael's like, I have shit to do. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
Penetration vibes versus nurturing, open vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not to say that women aren't purposeful, because as a Capricorn, I can tell you, we are very purpose-driven.
I meant primarily one or the other.
Totally.
Primarily masculine men and women, just their physiology.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Totally.
Yeah. And also I want to speak to one thing, is how to properly practice this with yourself or with your partner, is learning to like massage your body as a man is very important. Like massage yourself, get some oil, massage your entire body, and slowly move to the genitals, and also connect to your breath is very important. It's the main thing that's going to help you circulate the energy, circulate your pleasure, and connect to that aspect of yourself in a much deeper way. And it will help you connect to deeper states of consciousness while practicing this with yourself. And whenever there's an inkling to watch porn, this is very important to do. And you're like too much, and like and learn to like cultivate that energy rather than like needing to get to an end. Like, I need to get to ejaculation to be happy. Like, why can't I just enjoy this experience with my partner, or with having no objective to orgasms, anything, even if it's like multiple orgasms, like an energetic orgasm, like having no objective. The only objective is love and connecting to yourself in a healthy way, rather than a traumatic way. So yeah, for men.
Totally. And then for women, how you can help your man with semen retention is, I found what helps is, because women can feel, right? You can feel when your man's close, or you can feel, you know, that. And this is not to say, women, this is your job, but it helps to say, stop, let's breathe.
Slap them in the face.
Slap them in the face and say, breathe. No. So honestly, have this conversation with your partner and see what they desire and what would help them. But some of the things that have helped us is stopping and breathing during our sexual experience. Setting a timer, that will work for some people. Other people, the time restraint will feel like a pressure. So setting a timer, and then when that timer goes off, you stop and you circulate the energy.
Yeah, and even disconnect.
And even just get away
from each other.
Go on different beds, or go lay on the floor and she lays on the bed.
And breathe.
And
And connect and circulate. So like basically you squeeze the perineum for men. You bring your awareness from the perineum up the spine all the way, back down to the third eye, and then from here you come down to the tip of the nose, down to the tip of the tongue, and then down the body to the sacral. And then you again bring it down, squeeze the perineum, bring it up. And for me, I find I just like to relax on the exhale. I don't really like controlling the breath much because most likely conscious connected breathing, it's a different breath practice. But usually with a microcosmic orbit, you're controlling the breath on the way down and bringing it to the sacral to cultivate the energy here.
Yeah. The important thing is to hold the perineum even when you exhale, because if you completely let go, then you're letting all of that sexual cultivation energy completely just leave. Mm-hmm. So the importance is just to hold it even slightly. You don't have to squeeze crazily. Yeah. Just a slight hold as you breathe, and then just do a few rounds of that. Also, another thing for women that you can do is also circulating your sexual energy while you're in sexual intercourse with your partner, breathing the energy up from the yoni and the genitals up to the crown, because that'll help him also do the same. And also it'll take away this really energetic magnetic pulse of the yoni, kind of pulling in the lingam.
Yeah, to make a baby.
To make a baby.
It's true. The truth of it. They're primitive creatures.
Yeah, and then I think the other thing is just not shaming your partner and letting
not
them.
What?
Shaming.
Shaming. Oh, okay, I thought you said sharing. I was like.
Not shaming your partner and knowing that this is their journey. So as much as you want your partner to do semen retention, definitely say hey, this is a desire of mine and I would like this, I'd like to practice this with you. Don't shame your partner when he does ejaculate. Don't shame him. Just don't shame him.
Yeah.
And then over time, he will feel that trust and that love every time you're yeah,
I'm here for you.
I'm here for you.
And usually the ejaculation has a trauma response because it's so tied to porn, where it's you'll just experience shame, which it's not needed. Just don't shame yourself if you're starting this path, because it is freaking hard. It's extremely hard for me. I'm starting to connect to it in a way, more fluid way, but it's been years of doing semen retention on my own celibate and doing it with my partner and doing it's challenging. So really connect to love, connect to yourself, and then also find ways of rebuilding the semen. And also in a way, if you do ejaculate a day or two after, have sex but cultivate the energy again. That will help a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So, and then just continue doing that. Continue coming back to cultivation, and eventually it'll just be a natural process. You'll learn how to circulate energy properly, and it'll be more effortless.
Yeah, it'll be new habits, new neural pathways. Yeah, and I think what they say is to ejaculate on the full moon. And we've actually experienced this ourselves. This is the last thing we'll say. Ejaculation on the full moon. We've actually just experienced ejaculation on the new moon. And you said it was very off-putting.
So, oh my God. It was so different. I ejaculated on the new moon and I was so drained. You also start to become in connection with the rhythms, the sensitivity to the cycles of the moon. Yeah. And it's so uncomfortable and just threw me for a loop. My energy was just dispersed so much and it was harder to rebuild it. On the full moon, your energy is very erect. It's very heightened. So it's very important to use that time to ejaculate, natural to ejaculate. Don't retain your semen every for 2 months straight. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's healthy to ejaculate. It's healthy to connect to that for yourself as a man.
Yeah.
And find ways to rebuild it. One thing I do also, I know this sounds absolutely insane, but you can drink your own semen. There's a lot of nutrients in it.
Yeah.
Or give it to your partner.
Yeah.
Maybe she wants some,
Semen is ridiculously amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's why men get so drained when they ejaculate, is because all of their nutrients and vitamins and life, like it's literally scientific. It's not just all your life force energy is draining, it's a spiritual thing. No, it's actually, if you look it up, it's scientific. You're losing all of your nutrients and all of the stuff, the good stuff, basically. So when you give it back to your partner, so say Michael drinks his own semen, you're really taking in your own self. And you're taking back in all of those nutrients, so that can help. And then also giving it to your partner. And semen cures depression. It's like anyways.
Creates babies, man.
It's crazy good.
Yeah.
It's like good for your hair, for your skin. It's good to drink. It's the same with amrita, the fluid that the female ejaculate. It's the same as that. It's just as potent. It's the same as urine, I believe, if your body's clean. Just as potent, you know?
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up here, and we just all thank you for watching this amazing podcast with us about sacred sexuality and semen retention. And if you have any questions, you can comment below. If you want to personally message us, you can comment. You can message us on our Instagram handles, whatnot. Like the video if you actually like it, if you resonate, and if you want people to see more of it. Because if people do, people have the opportunity to learn about these things, and they can start to cultivate that sexual energy themselves. Yeah.
Totally. So we'll close with... Okay.
3 alms.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll close the 3 alms just to clear the entire energy of the space within our bodies. And just exhale fully. Inhale. Breathe in.